Femke was 23, and though her age suggested the glow of youth, her hair told a very different story. She stood in front of her mirror on a quiet Saturday morning, her fingertips tugging at the ends of her once lustrous brunette hair. Now it was something else. An uneven, dull, straw-like mess that seemed to carry the memory of every chemical experiment she had ever forced upon it. The strands broke easily, and no amount of conditioner, hair mask, or expensive salon oil could disguise the truth. Her hair was dying. Femke had never meant for things to get this bad. She wasn't reckless, not exactly. Just curious, adventurous, and maybe a little too drawn to change. Her natural brunette locks had been beautiful once, full of natural shine that her friends admired. But to Femke, it had always felt ordinary. She wanted something that felt more her, something bolder, something that marked her out as different. At 17, she went blonde for the first time. She remembered how her friends gasped in surprise when she showed up at school after the weekend, her long hair bleached into golden light. The thrill of transformation had been intoxicating. A year later, she tried a warm chestnut brown. At 19, she fell in love with a deep, sultry dark red, the kind that shimmered under street lamps like burning coals. Each color was a phase, an identity she slipped into like a costume, and each time she thought, "This is me. This is who I am now." But hair wasn't a costume you could swap without consequences. By the time she was 22, the bleach had chewed through the fibers of her hair, leaving them brittle. Split ends sprouted faster than any scissors could cut them away. Even brushing her hair became a gamble. Would it hold together, or would another chunk snap off into her lap? And so, on that Saturday morning, staring at her reflection, Femke whispered the truth to herself. There's nothing left to save. Her chest tightened as the words left her mouth. Her hair had been her comfort, her identity, her constant experiment. And now it had betrayed her. Or rather, she had betrayed it. She thought of wigs, of expensive keratin treatments, of endless trims. But deep down, she knew what had to happen. Femke's chosen salon was an old place in the city center, a shop she had walked past many times but never entered. The window displayed faded posters of models from the 90s, each with flawless, glossy hair. The barber's chair inside looked like it had been there forever, leather cracked with time. Something about its age, its permanence, reassured her. This wasn't a trendy Instagram salon where stylists boasted about pastel dye jobs. This was a place of endings. The bell jingled as she pushed open the door. The smell of disinfectant, hairspray, and faint tobacco lingered in the air. Behind the counter stood a hairdresser in her 40s with sharp eyes but a kind smile. "Can I help you?" the woman asked, folding a towel over her arm. Femke swallowed, nerves tightening her throat. I need to do something drastic. My hair's ruined. Completely." She tugged at one of the fried strands for proof. The hairdresser walked over, running practiced fingers through Femke's hair. She tugged lightly, and several broken ends fell to the floor. Her face was sympathetic, but firm. "There's not much I can do for this," the hairdresser said after a moment. "It's too far gone. You've dyed and bleached it so many times, haven't you?" Femke nodded, tears stinging her eyes already. The woman sighed gently. "The only real solution is to start over. Shave it all off. Let it grow again. Healthy this time." The words fell heavy in the air. Femke's stomach twisted. She had known it, but hearing it said aloud made it real. "Shave. All of it?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Yes. No half measures. I could cut it short, but the damage runs deep. If you want truly healthy hair again, you need a fresh start." Femke's lips trembled. She imagined herself bald, her head exposed, stripped of every strand she had ever colored. A shiver ran down her spine. "That's terrifying," she admitted. The hairdresser smiled softly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "It is. But it's also freeing. You'll see." Minutes later, Femke sat in the old leather chair. The cushion squeaked under her weight, the cracked armrests cool beneath her hands. The mirror loomed in front of her, reflecting her tear-streaked face. The hairdresser draped a heavy yellow PVC cape around her, snapping it snug at the neck with a white strip of paper. The cape shone under the lights, plastic and artificial, making Femke feel like she was wrapped in warning tape. Her heart pounded as she stared at herself in the mirror, her ruined hair spilling over the cape, soon to be gone forever. Tears spilled down her cheeks as the hum of clippers filled the air. "This is the only way forward," the hairdresser said gently, adjusting the cape around her shoulders. "Are you ready?" Femke closed her eyes, tears slipping down, and nodded, and the clippers touched her scalp. The buzzing filled the salon like an insect trapped in glass, sharp and insistent. Femke's stomach knotted as the sound drew closer, the vibration humming through the air until she could almost feel it on her skin. Her hands clutched at the armrests of the barber's chair, fingers digging into the cracked leather. She tried to take a steadying breath, but the cape's plastic smell and the tightness of the paper strip around her neck made it feel like she was suffocating. She kept her eyes on the mirror. Her ruined hair fell in dull, frizzy waves over the glossy yellow cape, a mocking reminder of what she was about to lose. Tears made her vision swim, turning her reflection into a blur of color and shine. The hairdresser placed a steadying hand on Femke's shoulder. "It'll be over before you know it," she murmured. And then the clippers touched her. The vibration against her temple sent a jolt through her body. Femke's breath caught in her throat as the buzzing machine dug into her hair, chewing away strands with ruthless efficiency. A thick lock slid down the cape, landing with a soft, scratchy thump on the plastic surface before sliding into her lap. Femke gasped, her lips trembling. "It's really happening," she whispered. The hairdresser guided the clippers in smooth, practiced strokes. The sound of crunching fibers filled Femke's ears, each pass louder than the last, as if the machine were swallowing the last remnants of her old self. The cape rustled as broken clumps tumbled down, collecting in a lifeless pile against the shiny yellow surface. Femke's scalp prickled at the exposure. The air felt cold and shocking against the bare strip of skin the clippers revealed. She shivered, tears slipping freely down her cheeks. She wanted to beg the hairdresser to stop, to undo what had just begun, but there was no going back. "Good girl," the hairdresser murmured, brushing a hand across Femke's shoulder to steady her. "You're brave. Just a little more." The clippers dug a new path down the crown of Femke's head. The vibration echoed through her skull, a deep mechanical hum that rattled her bones. Femke squeezed her eyes shut, unable to watch as chunks of brunette fell in thick sheets around her. She felt lighter already, though the feeling was hollow and strange, as though part of her identity was being peeled away strip by strip. Hair fell across her face. She blinked, a clump sticking to her damp cheek before sliding down to the cape. The hairdresser brushed it aside gently with her fingers, her touch surprisingly tender. Femke opened her eyes again, forcing herself to look. Her reflection stared back, raw and shocking. A wide, uneven strip of pale scalp now split the middle of her head, surrounded by tufts of ruined hair clinging desperately to the sides. The contrast was grotesque. She looked like two different people at once. The old Femke clinging to her identity, and the new Femke, bald and vulnerable, just beginning to emerge. The tears came harder. "I look awful," she choked. The hairdresser shook her head firmly. "You don't. You look like someone becoming free. Trust me. Keep breathing." The clippers roared back to life, sweeping across Femke's crown again, then down the back of her head. Warm clumps fell against her neck, tickling her skin before sliding down under the tight collar of the cape. She squirmed, but the hairdresser's steady hand held her in place. "Almost there," the woman said softly. Femke couldn't stop crying. Each lock that fell seemed to carry a memory with it. Her first time dyeing it blonde, her nights out as a fiery redhead, the years of experimenting and chasing something new. Now all of it lay dead on the cape, sliding off into the pile below. The chair creaked as the hairdresser tilted her head forward, The clippers buzzed down her nape, grazing her skin with cold metal teeth. Femke gasped at the sensation, raw and unfamiliar, the air rushing across her bare scalp where hair had always been. More and more fell. The pile on the floor grew thick, a dark carpet that made her dizzy to look at. Finally, the buzzing ceased. The sudden silence felt deafening, broken only by the rustle of the cape as the hairdresser brushed away stray clumps. Femke lifted her eyes to the mirror again and gasped. She was bald. Not polished smooth, but shorn close, the fine shadow of stubble clinging to her scalp. Her head looked rounder than she imagined, delicate and strange. Her eyes seemed bigger without the curtain of hair. Her face, tear-streaked and red, was fully exposed, naked to the world. Femke lifted a trembling hand, instinctively reaching to touch her head. The cape's stiff plastic blocked her, forcing her to drop her hand back to the armrest. She felt trapped in yellow plastic, wrapped in her own transformation. "It's not finished yet," the hairdresser said gently. She reached for a bowl and brush, mixing a thick white paste that gave off a harsh chemical scent. Femke sniffled. "What's that?" "Bleach," the woman explained. "If you want it clean and even, this will strip away the last bits of pigment. No razor needed. When it's done, you'll be completely fresh, like a blank canvas." Femke's chest tightened again. Another wave of fear washed over her, but this time it was mingled with strange anticipation. A blank canvas. She gave a shaky nod. "Do it." The brush touched her bare scalp, spreading the cold, creamy bleach over the fine stubble. Femke shivered violently, the sensation foreign and electric, like paint across skin, tingling with chemicals. The hairdresser worked methodically, coating every inch, massaging the mixture into her scalp with gloved hands. The smell stung Femke's nose, but she barely noticed. Her eyes were locked on her reflection, the pale, vulnerable woman in the yellow cape, surrendering every last trace of who she used to be. Her heart raced. She felt terrified, exposed, liberated. And for the first time that day, she managed a weak smile through her tears. The bleach stung almost immediately. Femke winced as the cool cream settled into a prickling burn along her scalp. It wasn't unbearable, but it was relentless, like thousands of tiny sparks crawling across her skin. The hairdresser's gloved fingers moved with practiced precision, massaging the mixture into every curve of her head, the crown, the temples, the nape, making sure no patch of stubble was left untouched. "You'll feel a tingle," the woman said calmly, as though the sensation wasn't already consuming every thought in Femke's head. "That means it's working." Femke laughed weakly, though her laugh broke into another sob halfway through. "It feels like my head's on fire." "That's the bleach lifting the last traces of pigment. Once it's gone, your scalp will be clean, nothing left of the old colors. Nothing left of the old colors." Femke's mind repeated the words. Blonde, brunette, chestnut, fiery red. All the phases of her identity, all the versions of herself she had believed in so fiercely, each one layered on top of the other like fragile coats of paint. Now the bleach was erasing them, one by one, until there would be nothing left but the truest blank. She sat there motionless in the heavy yellow PVC cape, its glossy folds swallowing her body. The chair creaked softly as she shifted, the cape rustling with a plasticky hiss. The contrast was striking. The cape so bright, artificial, almost clownish in its color, while she sat underneath it, stripped raw, crying quietly as the bleach gnawed at her scalp. The mirror in front of her showed every detail. Her eyes still red and swollen, her bare head glistening under the harsh fluorescent light, white cream smeared across it in thick strokes. She looked like a statue being remade, carved down to the core. Tears kept coming, but they were quieter now, softer, almost cleansing. Minutes dragged by. The burn intensified, and Femke found herself focusing on the rhythm of her breath. In, out. In, out. Each exhale seemed to peel away a little more fear. The hairdresser busied herself tidying the workstation, glancing over occasionally. "You're doing well," she said in a tone both firm and kind. Most people panic when they first feel the bleach. "But you're steadying yourself. That's good." "I don't feel steady," Femke whispered. "You will. Wait until you see yourself finished." When enough time had passed, the hairdresser returned with a warm towel. "Lean back for me." The sink at the back of the salon was porcelain, chipped at the edges. Femke lowered herself into it, the cape crackling against the chair as the hairdresser guided her head into position. Water rushed. The first splash against her scalp was bliss. Cool, soothing, extinguishing the burning fire of bleach. Femke gasped with relief as the hairdresser worked the mixture out, fingers firm but gentle as they massaged her bare scalp. White rivulets swirled down the drain, carrying with them the last traces of Femke's past. When the bleach was rinsed away, the hairdresser patted her head dry with a soft towel. Femke lifted her hand slowly, almost afraid of what she might feel. But the cape and the stylist's steady hand stopped her again. "Not yet," the woman said. "Look in the mirror first." Back at the barber's chair, Femke sat trembling, the yellow PVC cape still cocooning her like a plastic chrysalis. The hairdresser brushed away stray droplets, then stepped back, letting Femke face herself. The woman in the mirror was unrecognizable. Her head was smooth now, pale and free of stubble, every trace of hair erased by bleach. The shape of her skull revealed itself fully. Soft curves, elegant lines she had never seen before. Her eyes looked enormous, luminous, as though they had been waiting all along to be set free from the frame of her hair. Her cheekbones were sharper, her jawline defined. Femke gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. She was bald. Truly bald. Not shaved close, not cropped, but bare. The tears came again, but they were different this time. Not grief, not loss, but something warmer, lighter, relief. "Oh my God," she whispered. Her fingers twitched against the cape, desperate to touch, to feel the smoothness of her new head. The hairdresser smiled knowingly. "You look beautiful, strong, and free." Femke blinked at her reflection, the words sinking in slowly. Beautiful, strong, free. 3 words she had never thought she would hear while stripped of the one thing she had clung to for years, her hair. But it was true. She did look beautiful. Her lips trembled into the beginnings of a smile. Then, suddenly, she laughed. A shaky, tear-soaked laugh that bubbled up from deep inside. It was the laugh of someone letting go. The hairdresser unsnapped the paper strip from her neck and pulled the yellow PVC cape away. The pile of ruined hair slid to the floor in a lifeless heap, a dark contrast against the cape's brightness. Femke looked down at it once, then turned back to the mirror. That wasn't her anymore. She reached up with both hands this time. The first touch made her shiver. Her scalp was impossibly smooth, soft under her fingertips, almost alien. She stroked it again, and again, each pass making her grin widen. It felt incredible. Femke stood as the chair squeaked beneath her. The world felt lighter, her body freer, her head no longer burdened by the weight of years of damage. She turned side to side in the mirror, watching how the light caught her bare scalp, how her eyes seemed to sparkle with a new kind of energy. "I can't believe this is me," she whispered. The hairdresser chuckled softly. "It's the real you. No dyes, no damage, no pretending. Just Femke." The name hit her in the chest. Just Femke. And for the first time in years, she realized how much she liked the sound of that. When she finally stepped out of the salon, the autumn air brushed against her scalp like a lover's kiss. Cool, fresh, invigorating. She gasped and laughed all at once, hugging herself as she walked down the street. She was bald. Femke, the girl who had cycled through 1,000 colors, who had thought her hair defined her, was bald. and she had never felt happier in her life.